Namaste, everyone. A very warm welcome to our podcast series At the Heart of Auroville, where we explore the vision, voices, and living spirit of the City of Dawn. Through these conversations with pioneers, residents, and contributors, we'll discover how Mother's vision continues to take form today via both individual journeys and collective projects. Today, we are honored to welcome Richard Eckenberger, whom the mother named as Narad, to the very first episode of this series. Having been associated with the ashram in Auroville for over 5 decades, Narad brings an unparalleled wealth of insights and experiences. He has served as a musician, horticulturist, poet, artist, and also a seasoned host of media productions that shed light on the works of Mother and Sri Aurobindo. Narad, welcome to the podcast and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste. To begin with, Narad, could you share with us the larger story of your own journey? What first drew you to Pondicherry?
Well, it's quite a long story, but I'm willing to share it. We're now in the late 1950s, and I am returning from California, where I was resting after a serious operation, taking a bus back to New Jersey, my parents' home, where I saw actually a gentleman, an Indian gentleman, sitting in the seat way back. And I said, I should talk to him. So I went to him and I asked him if we could speak for a while. And he answered all my questions so beautifully. And this began a series of 2 years in New York City where he taught me Raja Yoga. And at that time, of course, I was still studying and singing professionally. And one day he comes up to me and he says, would you like to go to India? And you could learn Indian music? Well, this was fascinating for me. I thought, yes, certainly. He says, all you will have to do is pay your passage there and back. Everything else will be taken care of for you. Lodging, food, everything you need. So I immediately agreed. And he said, follow me out to California and we'll find a ship going to India. Well, I didn't have much money, so I had to work morning and evening, 2 different jobs. And finally, I had enough. So he went out, I followed him out. And then there was no contact for some couple of weeks, then 3 weeks. Finally, he meets me and he says to me, everything has fallen through. If you truly want to do yoga, practice samatha and go back to your parents. Mihika, something rose up in me and I looked this wonderful gentleman in the eye and I said, no, I am going to India. And I tell you how the Divine Mother works. The next day, I meet Jyoti Priya, who formed the first center for Sri Aurobindo in California. And she looks at me and she says, oh, but you are meant to see Mother.
Wow.
And she sends a handwriting specimen and a photograph, which was required at that time, to Mother. And almost, I would say, immediately, Mother sends back a telegram saying, "Tell him he may come and stay as long as he likes."
Wow.
Can you imagine that for a young man?
Wow.
I mean, I was what, in my early 20s, very early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So I found passage on a Japanese ship. It was a freighter.
Mm-hmm.
And there seemed to be everything in the way of my coming to see Mother.
Mm-hmm.
The ship was loaded with 200-foot-long redwood logs. And off Alaska, we ran into a typhoon, and everything was wiped off the deck. I watched them fall like toothpicks into the sea. The captain, Japanese captain, calls me up to his quarters, and he says, 1 degree more and we capsize. And something in me said to him, "We cannot capsize. I'm going to see Mother."
Mother.
And the sea calmed down, and we reached Japan, which was again, I believe, Mother's plan, that I really experienced Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there for a couple of weeks before we were going to depart on a French ship.
Mm-hmm.
And on this Sunday morning, when the ship was about to depart, I am in the hold in the very lowest stinking part of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't take off. And then I hear my name, "Come up to the top."
Mm-hmm.
And there were 2 Japanese officials there, and they said, "You did not sign the release to leave Japan, so we will have to keep you in Japan and take you off the ship."
Mm-hmm.
There were some wonderful sailors who wanted to stow me away. But again, I felt Mother's presence, and I said, "No, Mother wants me to be here. I'll get off the ship." And I had 2 extraordinary weeks in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, I did get to Madras with 1 shirt, 1 pair of pants, and broken chappals.
Mm-hmm.
And I took a bus to Pondicherry,
Mm-hmm.
which cost me 3 rupees.
Wow.
And I had only 10 rupees, so I had 7 rupees left.
Wow.
The moment I arrived in Pondicherry, Mother had arranged everything.
Mm-hmm.
Diababa was there to meet me. I stayed at Parc Charbon, which is now Park Guest House.
Mm-hmm.
And almost immediately, the next day, of course, was November 24th.
Mm-hmm.
And Mother asked to see me.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what drew me to Pondicherry. Now,
Wow.
your second question.
Wow. Wow.
Once you encountered this space and its atmosphere, how did your life and
Life
choice?
choices begin to change. Yeah. That must have been such a beautiful journey. And even though it had its own ordeal, there was a part of you that had the faith already. But having been there, there must have been a lot of things that changed in the presence of, in the physical presence of Mother as well. So tell me a little about that.
Everything changed. My world was turned upside down.
Mm-hmm.
Things that I valued, attachments that I had, egoistic and arrogant qualities,
Mm-hmm.
I had to face. Mother gave me the permission to teach music in the ashram.
Mm-hmm.
And in that first interview, which lasted nearly an hour with
Mm-hmm.
Mother,
Mm-hmm.
she spoke to me. Of course, she knew everything of my past.
Mm-hmm.
She knew all about my work with my father and designing Japanese gardens and working in landscaping. And she knew everything about music. So at one point she says to me, "Is the music in you now?" And I said, "Mother, it's always with me." And she said, "Not always." And she actually took it away to work on other aspects of my being for some years. Now, that interview was one of the most sacred moments of my life,
Mm-hmm.
because Mother began to talk to me about the different planes of existence from which music descended or could be reached.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote a book, and it was called The Descent of a New Music.
Mm-hmm.
In which, for years, I explored the composers of the 20th and 21st centuries
Mm-hmm.
and selected passages that I felt had touched in some way the new music.
Beautiful.
So after this, Mother asked me, well, actually, it was before that. She said, "Would you like to talk or would you like to meditate?"
Mm-hmm.
Knowing nothing of meditation, I
Yes.
said, "Meditate, Mother."
Mm-hmm.
I closed my eyes, and suddenly a fire starts in my solar plexus.
Mm-hmm.
It grows and grows and grows and comes up through my chest and the heart and through my head and above my head. And now it's flames, huge flames. I don't know where I am. So at the end of that experience, I fall on Mother's feet and I weep, probably for 15 minutes. I
Sounds like.
met Mother many times in the 12 years that I knew her.
Mm-hmm.
And each time there was an experience of so vast an importance to my progress in the integral yoga that there would be too much to speak about today.
I can understand, Narad, and thank you for sharing that. But for us, it's a very valuable glimpse and insight into what it was actually like for you and how things took a turn. We'll talk a little about how you've developed deep expertise in certain fields while also embracing a wide range of creative and practical pursuits. How have you woven these different talents together in your service to Auroville over the years, including poetry, music, the gardens? Tell us a little about all of them, Narad.
Well, I'll start with the easiest one, poetry.
Mm-hmm.
And I say the easiest, Mihika, because I've written more than 5,000 poems. 5,000.
Wow.
And I know they have all come through the grace of Sri Aurobindo.
Mm-hmm.
I sit, as I sat this morning before our interview,
Mm-hmm.
and 3 or 4 poems come just like that. All I have to do is write them down.
Wow.
I take credit only for the mistakes.
Yeah, that
And it continues. It continues. I go out in the morning, I look at the sea, I sit quietly and allow them to come down line by line. And I feel the grace of Sri Aurobindo within me. So deep, so beautiful, so compassionate. Now, in the ashram, when you first enter,
Mhm.
there is a small room as you walk up the stairs, just
Mhm.
before the reading room.
Mhm.
And that was known as the soup room,
Mhm.
where Mother used to get a bowl of soup. Now, at that time, there were only maybe 30 disciples. I understood that she took a spoon of soup out, sipped it, and gave it to a disciple,
Mhm.
and then the next spoon to the next disciple. And I would always go to that room before I would go even to the samadhi.
Mhm.
My Upaguru, who has been with me who had been with me for so many years, I asked him, why do I always go to that room? And he says simply, because Sri Aurobindo has put his presence there. The room has now been closed, unfortunately, for many years.
Mhm.
But I had my first poem from him there. 4 lines came straight down.
Mhm.
These are the currents of my life. Engulf them in thy sea. The tangled threads of daily strife reweave to image thee. And
Wow.
then one day I prostrate myself before him. And he says to me, and it's good for the circulation too.
Wow, what a sacred moment. Another one of them.
Yes. Now
Yeah.
we have to go back to 1967
Mhm.
when my wife and I have a terrible automobile accident
Mhm.
because 2 ladies had parked the car perpendicular to traffic on an icy road that was like glass. And there
Mhm.
was no way you could turn the car. And she went through the window. And she was filled with gashes on her face.
Mhm.
And Mother said, there will be no scars. And that moment I had the intuition to get vitamin E capsules, break
Mhm.
them open and put
Mhm.
it on those scars. And there were no scars. And there were people like Kailas Javeri who saw Mother standing at the head of the bed and protecting Annie, who later became a great disciple. And I've written a book of homage to her,
Mhm.
homage to Annie, and well, I've written 54 books.
Wow, that in itself is
Anyway,
an inspiration. Yeah.
um, I wrote Mother because we received $3,000 for medical expenses.
Mhm.
It would have been many million dollars today
Yeah.
when someone can burn their tongue on coffee in the McDonald's
Yeah.
and get hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I write Mother and I said, Mother, we received $3,000 and I want to send this money for you and the work. Mother writes back to me, why don't you use the money to come to the inauguration of Auroville.
Oh,
Each ticket was exactly $1,500.
wow.
So we come. And on December 18th, Annie's birthday, Mother invites us to come up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is one of those experiences that are so powerful that you can hardly speak of it. She first looks at Annie
Mm-hmm.
and she says, "This is not the first time we have met. You have been with me many times before, many, many times." And then she turns to me and she says, "You wouldn't want to come to Auroville in a few years? I feel you can do something there." And I said, "Yes, Mother, whatever is your wish."
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't to be 3 years. It was only to be 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
Because Mother has her secretary write to me, and it's a long letter in which he says, "Mother would like you to come and prepare to build the gardens of the Matrimandir."
Mm-hmm.
And I write back and I say, "Well, what does Mother want me to do? To
Mm-hmm.
study college or to do physical work?" And Mother writes back, "Both."
Mm-hmm.
So I had to work during the day and go to college at night. And it was, so I figured I had 3 years. I had a lot to learn
Mm-hmm.
because my work was in temperate climate and subtropical climate horticulture.
Mm-hmm.
Very deep work.
Mm-hmm.
But Auroville is tropical climate.
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn many new things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm actually enjoying my courses. I had marvelous teachers, and then suddenly one day I get a telegram from Mother, and she says, "A bientôt, see you soon." So Annie goes first, and then I clear up everything, sell everything what was needed, and
Mm-hmm.
go to Auroville. Actually, Mother put us up in Promesse.
Mm-hmm.
I was right next to Piero and Gloria,
Mm-hmm.
who Piero who actually built the Matrimandir.
Mm-hmm.
And you ask now another question about those first days.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, um, how did the work start, Narad? Because I know that you started when things were absolutely bare in many ways, right? So, being
It
amongst
was
the earliest people connected with Auroville on the ground, what were those first days like? Did you ever imagine the seeds you planted back then would grow into what we see today?
it was a desert.
Yes.
We were put in. Originally, Mother had planned for Auroville to be built in the lake area,
Mm-hmm.
where they had hundreds of acres. But she finally decided that this was the place. And we had to face every conceivable hardship. There was rarely enough electricity. Of course, there was no air conditioning. In the heat of summer, I remember May when it was 110 degrees, we would wash out a sheet and then rinse it and put it over our body and sleep for a couple of hours a night. There was rarely any food, but we wrote to Mother, could we have our own kitchen at the Matrimandir nursery? Now, this was a place where I'm walking through the area Mother named Peace, long before Matrimandir was begun. And I find this place with about a dozen beautiful mango trees, and it belongs to Auroville. So I asked Mother in a letter, would you bless this place? And a man who was working with me, Amrit, who is still in Auroville, had the same experience. This was the place. And Mother blessed it. So we began work in Auroville. Many, many people came. And some of them asked, why don't you write to Mother and ask for her blessings? Interesting letter. Mother writes back to me, those who wish to work in harmony do not have to ask for my blessings. The work that began was so fascinating because I would collect plants from all over India. I would make every month I would go to Chennai. Every quarter I would go to Bangalore. Every year I would go around all parts of Auroville. And people never, ever hesitated to give me plants of great beauty that would survive in Auroville. And the nursery was a place that became so beloved that on Mother's birthday, we would hold a flower show. And buses and buses would come from the ashram to see the flower show. There was such a unity between ashram and Auroville at that time that needs to be renewed.
It does.
So Champaklau, Narad, many of the great disciples would come. Mary Helen would do the arrangements. Bob and Deborah from Golden Bridge Pottery would make the beautiful vessels. Others would lay out these beautiful tablecloths, and it was something so special. And now that work has been taken up by the people of Mother's Flower Garden, which is very near Solar Kitchen. And there's a 5-acre place. We need the help of the government to fund this vast work in which, for the first time in 100 years, the significances of all the flowers Mother named will be grown in one place.
That is a beautiful, beautiful thought and intention to put out, and I'm sure there'll be ways and means that will bloom into what it was envisioned to be, Narad. How beautiful. Narad, walk us a little bit into your work with the Om Choir as well.
Yes, well, that's the second part I guess we could talk about. We spoke of poetry and now of music. I do teach voice in the ashram and in Auroville. And in fact, I taught Dr. Ravi a little.
Oh, nice.
And I record the works of Sri Aurobindo. I've completed already The Ideal of Human Unity. It's available. The Human Cycle, War and Self-Determination, Essays on the Gita. And I'm currently recording the Letters on Yoga with Holger. And Holger is a master musician and the greatest violinist in Auroville, and has been there for many years, doing a wonderful service, teaching young people how to play the violin. So, getting into more of the work that I have done in Auroville, I had the nursery from 1969 through 1981. And then there were the big conflicts in Auroville, and someone opened my head with a rock. And my wife couldn't take it. She said, I have to go back. I cannot stand this. And so I slowly began to heal.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I would follow her back for a few months and come back.
Mm-hmm.
But we stayed on for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
She left her body in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
And since that time, I came 6 months every year
Mm-hmm.
to work on the gardens. And the beauty of the work was that in all these botanical gardens, I was greeted with such love by the Indian people.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I tell everyone my body is American, but my soul is Indian.
Yeah.
And the things that we introduced took root very beautifully, but many of them languished for many years. So I came up with an advice to the plants.
Mm-hmm.
I would bring a new plant in and I would say, if I can make it here, you can make it here. And they did.
Yeah, of course. I'm sure your conviction in your consciousness conveyed it to them and they received it well. Narad, that is beautiful. And looking back, which part of your journey or work gives you the deepest sense of fulfillment?
To be in the atmosphere of Auroville, which is now infused with the supramental consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
There is no greater blessing than that.
Mm-hmm.
I have met Sri Aurobindo many times
Mm-hmm.
in the subtle physical world,
Mm-hmm.
and he has spoken to me and caressed me. And my last meeting with him was 9/9/99. And I went before him, and there were no words, but he let me massage his feet.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked Aurobindo Basu what this meant. And he said to me, it means that you have surrendered to Sri Aurobindo, but now you must make the surrender more complete.
Beautiful.
And that is my work, and my work for the mother. And it is only because I believe the creation of Auroville is her vision, and nothing, despite all the problems we face, can in any way affect her vision of Auroville. It is going to be the paradigm of the new future. And we have so many of her words that we can refer to daily and
Mm-hmm.
should. about truth, about aspiration, about surrender, about all these critical things if one wants to do the integral yoga.
Yeah.
Some may not wish to do the integral yoga, and they are there for the ideal of human unity. That has a meaning also.
It does.
We should not denigrate that meaning. We must learn to love each other.
Yes.
With the divine love that comes from Mother. To learn to give up the ego as much as possible. And well, I'm already over half an hour, but you have some more questions. So
we have two more questions, Narad. One of them is, looking ahead, where do you feel your presence and work are most needed now in Auroville?
I think it's with the Mother's Flower Garden.
Okay.
Because the Matrimandir is moving in another way that is not in coherence with my aspiration. I'm not critical of anyone. Each one has their way. And each one has to go through what they have to go through. So my joy is knowing that every breath I take, I'm breathing in the supramental power.
Beautiful. That's absolutely incredible, Narad. And being able to feel that living presence is something, a gift that Auroville gives to us, and the ideal of Auroville. Narad, my last question to you today is, finally, if you could leave each listener with one thought to carry in their heart about the ideal of Auroville, what would it be?
Get rid of negativity. Hold on, cling to the Mother, and know that no force, whether asuric or negative, will ultimately have any power over the creation of Auroville. And know that every darkness can be demolished by one ray of light.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Narad, this has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you for sharing your journey with us today. And to everyone listening, I hope this episode has touched and inspired you and given you a glimpse into what and who truly lies at the heart of Auroville. We'll be back with another episode soon. Meanwhile, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and feel free to drop any questions in the comments below. Namaste.
Namaste.